What?
Yawning.
Oh.
It'll make me yawn if you yawn. It's contagious.
It's like listening to both of y'all.
Rude.
Welcome to my life. We're gonna be here for like another hour and a half.
No, we won't. I'll be brief.
Okay.
Hold on, let me get my skip intro button real fast. Hold on.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of From Art to Atoms.
The Ultimate Curiosity Show.
I'm Brandon Shoemaker.
I'm Michael Folse.
And this week we are joined in studio by somebody who is frequently referred to, though heretofore silent. That is Michael's husband, Thomas Folse. Say hi, Thomas.
Hi. Not so silent
Hey, why'd you
anymore.
wave?
We don't have video this week.
Thomas has a thing where every time he says hi, he waves. It's like an automatic thing no matter what. And everyone makes fun of him because of this. And he doesn't care. You could be like 2 feet in front of him and he's saying hi to you and he's still going to wave to you like he hasn't seen you all day. And he just did it again.
With both hands at that. All right. So this week, we have Thomas joining us to talk about a specific topic that is of interest to him as
Near
well.
and dear to his heart.
Yeah, well, it's because it deals with something that is probably his greatest passion, which is reading.
Literature, yep.
And we're discussing the topic of adaptation. And so what we wanted to do was to have a conversation with him included that talks about, let's talk about the elephant in the room whenever we're talking about anything that's adapted from something else. And that's the fact that everybody always says, I didn't like it as much as the book, when they're talking about a movie adaptation of something. Mm-hmm. In most people's opinion, the book is always better than the movie.
Right.
And so I wanted to kind of get the ball rolling with that comment. Why do we think that's the case for the most part when people think that the book's always better than the movie?
Well, I think when we're younger, or at least when I was a teen, I was always just predispositioned. Like you have that in your head. Oh, the book is always better.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was thinking about it this morning and I'm thinking about films that I liked better than the books that they were based on.
Yeah.
Or things that have been adapted from something that I've never seen the original. Like, Sex and the City, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've never read Candace Bushnell's book.
Right.
But I do know that whole series was based on that. I believe it was a news article.
Mm-hmm.
And, Mean Girls, great film. Also based on a sociological study that I will never read.
Yeah.
So, I enjoy that film. I'll always enjoy that film. But, things like First Wives Club, I felt it was better as a film than it was a book, which I think Olivia Goldsmith did too, because if you read her works after that, she started to mirror the humor from the film in her books.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of like, okay, I see what you did there. But some things I think are equitable. And when you really, for me, it was when I went to college and I took classes on adaptation.
Yeah.
And, looking at, okay, we read the book, then we watch the film and we look for the things that happen in that process and taking a 600-page book and turning it into an hour and a half long film.
Yeah.
What decisions were made in that part and, is it faithful? Is it a loose adaptation? All of those things have to come into the conversation for you to really be able to judge which is better or, but at the same time, it's a personal decision. You are coming away with your own interpretation of that text and watching someone else's. And sometimes they are not always going to align.
Yeah, I agree. And that's something that I think a lot of people, especially when you look at books that have a large fan base, a large following, I think it's usually that crowd that is more frequently disappointed when you have an adaptation that is not faithful to the book.
Right.
And, in those instances, I look at it as sort of, did it need to be faithful to the book or was being faithful to the book practical. That's often a consideration, I think, that people overlook. You look at, and I've never read the books of this, but you look at something like the Lord of the Rings series. Mm-hmm. And as long as those movies are, I know they still didn't include everything that was in the books. And so at 3 hours a pop for each of those films, could you imagine if they were any longer? I mean, my God.
Well, that's like people who complain about, they left certain plot lines out of the Harry Potter films. Well, it's like, yeah, you kind of have to leave things behind or, compress characters and compress plot lines to make it work within the medium, because you're changing the medium.
Yeah.
Like a book can be 600 pages long because you have descriptive passages.
Yeah.
In a film, 2 pages of a descriptive passage can be established in a 2-minute shot.
Or less.
Even less.
Yeah,
like 50 seconds, right? Like, think about The Lord of the Flies, right? The whole opening chapter is a big description of this island and their plane crash, and all it took in the film was a flyover.
Yeah.
So that's all. Chapter 1.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that people forget when they approach an adaptation. They look at it in terms of what they were used to in the original text versus what is practical in film and what film can achieve that, frankly, the written word on the page can't.
Right. Or even like, I was talking to Michael in the car about it, like, video games or comic books even. That transition from those to film can look vastly different because you're dealing with a different medium. Video games are immersive. Films are storytelling.
Yeah.
So of course it's going to look different.
Yeah. So I want to kind of start off just with a little case study, if you will, with Wicked. And I was first exposed to Wicked actually by Michael. Michael was the one who introduced he's looking at me like a deer in headlights. Yeah. So he introduced me to the original Broadway cast album of Wicked. And of course, me being the theater nerd that I am, I fell in love with it immediately. And I finally got to see it on stage several times. And I then went back and read the book by Gregory Maguire that it was based on. And I hated the book. And, it was obvious that there were some major choices and decisions that had to be made in taking something that was as long and as detailed as the novel of Wicked was and making it into a Broadway musical. So that was a drastic change. And frankly, I didn't enjoy the book primarily because in terms of fantasy writing, I'm not that interested in the world building. I just found a lot of his world building excessive and unnecessary and tedious. And of course, that's the way I find most world building in novels. And I just didn't need all of that. And flash forward to this past November when the film came out. Leading up to that, I was adamant that I was going to hate the film. And this was primarily based on a few factors. Number one, I was highly disappointed in the casting. I felt casting big name stars like Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo was the wrong direction, and that they were playing to the zeitgeist, the popularity of these actresses. And I remember seeing Ariana Grande in Hairspray, and it just looked like she was trying to be her instead of Penny and kind of trying to steal the spotlight. And I remember making the comment out loud to the TV, "This show isn't about you, honey." And so, I was afraid that was going to be the same thing that would happen when she was in Wicked. Plus, once they finally started teasing the movie with the trailer and we heard the iconic end of Defying Gravity that Idina Menzel immortalized on Broadway, and that every actress who has played Elphaba since then has duplicated exactly as written.
And I remember you saying you didn't like that aspect of it.
Oh, I hated it. I thought that was just an absolute apocryphal thing that they could have done to change this iconic piece of music.
Yep.
And once I found out that Cynthia Erivo made that decision herself to do that, I was even more disgusted. I just threw my arms up. Oh, I can't.
How dare she?
Exactly. That was 100% my attitude.
And now,
begrudgingly, I went to see the movie because, of course, being a theater teacher, I knew that all my kids were going to want to talk about it. So I begrudgingly go in to see Wicked. And within the first 5 minutes, I had already resigned myself to saying, okay, well, if nothing else, I can say positively about this that the cinematography is excellent. It's very well shot. I guess I can give it that. And then by the time they got to The Wizard and I was already hooked.
I was crying.
Loved it. I didn't cry at The Wizard and I. It was later. But yes, I absolutely loved the movie. I thought it was brilliant. I thought Ariana and Cynthia were brilliant. I truly was unapologetically 180 degrees different in my opinion than what I had assumed was going to be the case. And so for that, I can honestly say the adaptation was certainly better than the novel. And I will say, I think that the film is, now granted, we've only seen part 1. We still have to wait for part 2, in November of this year. But, based on what I've seen so far, I definitely think it is even surpassed the Broadway show. Again, because just like you have to acknowledge that there are limitations in a novel that can't be done but can be brought to life in film, the same thing goes for the stage versus the film. And so, yeah, that's one of my prime examples. And I remember, we've been wanting to do this episode for several months now. And I decided that I wanted to wait and do this after Wicked had come out because I wanted to be able to rake it over the coals. And so now I'm sitting here eating crow, but happily so, because I'm thrilled. I'm ecstatic that that film came out as good as it did.
So my experience with Wicked, I read the book when it first came out way back when, and I loved it. But I had always enjoyed the books by Baum, and I thought that what McGuire did was really, really interesting, and I really liked the darkness of his story. So when I heard about the musical and how the musical was a blending of the story, but more of a continue, like the visuals and the costuming and the things that they were going to do were more aligned to the film, The Wizard of Oz, which his book wasn't. I said, screw that. I ain't ever watching that. And I pretty much stayed true to that. I still have not seen the stage production. But I decided, if we're going to come on here to talk about Wicked, I needed to be able to say something about it. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go see the movie. Even though at first I was like, I'm never going to see that movie either. But watching the film was really, really, exciting. I loved what they did visually. I really did enjoy a lot of the things that happened in the movie, and I loved the 2 performances. But what really kept hitting me as I was watching the film was that nothing that happened in the story wasn't in the book. And so, I'm like, why does everybody keep saying this is a loose adaptation? It's really not to me. Everything that happens in the story happened in the book. And so I went back and I reread it maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. And it was, all of those notes were there. It is to me, it's a faithful adaptation to the book that also is an homage to the original, film that they, the Judy Garland Wizard of Oz film, kind of a blending of the worlds. And I liked that about it. I said, okay, this is better than I thought it was. And, I might be interested in seeing the musical now. I don't know. But
I'll be interested to see if you still feel that it's a faithful adaptation after part 2 comes out.
Well, see, here's the thing is I know enough about the stage play and what happens that I think it is.
Okay, cool.
Because I was keeping track of that as I read the second half because it's so funny. Intermission is the exact halfway point of the book itself. And I was like, that's really interesting. I thought that was an interesting nuance.
It's designed that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and didn't you say people that are watching the stage production now, or did you tell me, Brandon, that people are watching stage production now are getting up at intermission and leaving
No, I told you that.
because they haven't seen.
I watched some.
They don't want the
wanna
spoiler?
know. Right, they
Oh,
don't wanna
wow.
know. Yeah, they've never seen it before.
I
and
thought
so
you
they're
meant they
getting
thought
up
that
and
was the
leaving.
ending, but no, they're
Yeah.
I'm like, that's weird.
that is weird. I find that
I don't-
interesting.
I mean, why would you waste your money
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Like,
to
why
go
would
see?
you?
I mean, because tickets.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, they're not cheap. I mean, especially compared to a movie
You
ticket
have
price.
that kind of money to throw around, So yeah, I was fully prepared to hate musical, hate film, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised. I really liked it, and I can't wait to see the second half.
Yeah.
And I may even, eventually see the stage production, especially if you two drag me to it.
I will say that it is coming to Dallas next season for the touring shows.
It is.
Yes, he sent me the list.
Yeah.
But I don't know, what did you think? I know that you've read book and you've
Okay, this is why you're here, because my memory is not very good on books and movies. I read the book like 20 something years ago, and I think I was falling asleep halfway through it. It was a struggle to get through, and I think I never went back to it.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
But that doesn't surprise me.
No, and like this episode that we're recording right now about like adaptations of movies and books and stuff, I said I'm screwed because like I don't remember stuff. Remember we were doing our top 5 or whatever,
Yeah.
and the Arrival, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Oh, you said you hadn't seen it and you had?
Right, and
I
I got
listened to
home
the
and Thomas is
podcast.
like,
and I said, so you don't remember watching that movie with me twice because your ass fell asleep when we were watching it the first time. And then you called my mama and you told my mama how much you love that movie.
and I'll tell you right now, to be fair, I can't tell you what that movie's about today.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't remember watching that movie. So that's why you're here. You're my backup because I don't remember this kind of stuff.
So I don't know, like, earlier we were talking about the process of adaptation and everything. And
Yeah.
I think it's important to keep in mind whenever you're watching something, like, the vast difference between the medium. So for Wicked, it went from a book to a stage play, and the stage play is going to be limited. And I understand the direction that they took with that because, or the musical, because they wanted to connect with an audience that was already built in.
Yeah.
And that audience was from The Wizard of Oz, the Judy Garland film.
Yeah.
I can understand why they did that a little bit better now than I did whenever I first heard about the musical. And then seeing the film, I think, was the best place for me to start because it was just such a phenomenal film.
Yeah.
The way it all came together was fantastic. We've gone and watched it 4 times now, 3 times.
You've seen it 3 times. I've seen it 4 times because I went with Brandon and Kinsey one time without
Oh,
you.
yeah.
So that's my 4th time.
And it's just, it sticks with me. Like, I see all the clips of it
When
on
we went
TikTok all the
2
time.
weeks ago to see it one last time before it left theaters,
Yep.
you were crying for the 3rd time. Every time you watch it, you cry.
It's very moving. It's very
I don't
moving.
get that.
But at the same time,
Well, you just
I
don't cry.
realized-
I do, but only when dogs die in films.
Exactly.
Yeah, for real.
He's going to cry when they start singing For Good.
Oh.
Me or you?
You.
Oh.
Both of y'all
Oh,
are.
yeah.
Y'all I'm going to bring the Kleenex with me. Both of y'all are.
And so that's what I was going to say. I've seen the stage production several times, never on Broadway, just on tour. I can say that the only parts that have made me cry at the live show are the end of Defying Gravity and For Good.
I think part of that, though, goes to the actresses and their friendship
Oh,
that was
yeah.
made from
Yeah.
that. Because when
you can't fake that.
Right. And that's the thing is that you honestly, and I think part of it also is like your own personal experiences of being rejected
Mm-hmm.
and then,
Yep.
picked on and made ridiculed and you're someone finally accepts you. Like, I think that that's partly also why.
Which is, very
You-
resonant with, our
That's
play.
what I was going to say. I think that's why the gay community has always loved this show so much because,
we identify as the outsiders.
yeah, we are Elphaba.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I will say is when I reread Wicked,
Uh-huh.
and I looked closely at there were little things that I could pick out. Like, I immediately understood that Galinda is a compression
Mm-hmm.
of Fiero's wife from the book,
Mm-hmm.
Galinda from the book.
Yeah.
Like she's that they married those two characters together.
Yeah.
And I think that it works because Galinda was she was the mean girl, but she wasn't what she is on the screen.
Yeah.
I should say she wasn't, ditzy or, popular.
Yeah.
The reason she and Elphaba became friends in the book was because she's like, I want to pass all my classes.
Yeah.
And you seem like a safe bet. Elphaba's like, sure, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were mean girls together. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Totally not what you get in this, but I liked that change.
Yeah.
I liked seeing a, I guess, fluffier version of that friendship. You know what I mean? It just works better.
Right.
Visually speaking. But yeah, there's definitely, I'm curious to see once I've seen the whole thing, if my appreciation for it as an adaptation, continues as it has. But I thought also we could talk about some other things.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, we've been talking about Wicked a good bit.
Yeah.
So let's explore some other adaptations.
Yes.
That we
love or hate.
Yeah.
Hate. No, I'm kidding. So, as much as I now know about adaptation, as much as I can appreciate things, there are still some adaptations that disappoint me as films and as adaptations.
Yeah.
And so I guess, I'll start with the lows. When I was in high school, I read Michael Crichton's Congo.
Mm-hmm.
And because, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Read that too. Watched the film,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh, I'm going to try some more of Michael Crichton. He was really interesting. And I read Congo and I loved it.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, we're going to make it into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm so excited. It'll be like Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
And it was completely disappointing. First of all, don't take a signing ape and give me a person in a monkey suit with a robotic arm that talks for her. Like,
Yeah.
What? The whole part of Amy that got me loving her in the book was the fact that she could sign.
Right.
And she was completely vulnerable. But then I also didn't like the whole, okay, we're going to take the villain of the book and make her the hero of the film.
Mm.
Because Laura Linney's character in the book
Mm-hmm.
is the villain.
Yeah.
You're supposed to hate her.
Yeah.
And in the film, and I'm like, okay, what motivated this decision? But then I started thinking about it. Okay, Sigourney Weaver motivated that decision with her performance in Aliens, because everybody had to be the female, rock star, action hero, heroine, saving the day, and, flipping the bird to everybody. And that's what Laura Linney does at the end of that film. So, okay, well, it makes sense. Congo, definitely one of my least favorites.
Well, and that's, I'll say, that's a very bold choice for a filmmaker to make, to turn the villain of a book into the hero of the movie version. You're kind of asking yourself, or you're kind of setting yourself up for disaster when you do something that drastic, and diehard fans of the book are going to hate that choice, obviously.
Well, okay, so this is my take on that, and this is why I don't like a lot of adaptation stuff. That's the problem with it, is that they changed too much of the original source material.
Yeah.
Power Rangers was supposed to be the newest one that came out.
Okay.
Look,
I know,
I contribute, but
I know. Sorry. I just hate Power Rangers. That's the only thing. Just go ahead.
Oh, I know. It's a ripoff of Voltron.
It is.
Okay, so when they make the Voltron movie and they change everything though there too, you're going to hate that.
Yes.
Okay, they're going to do that.
I know. Anyway, go ahead.
So
there's a Voltron movie?
Yeah, they're in talks right now of getting it going. Anyway, the problem is that you have a diehard fan base for certain properties.
Yeah.
And when you change stuff, you are, and I understand you might want to do it to kind of capture or reinvent, but the people that are going to go see that want the nostalgia version, that aspect of it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Like Power Rangers was supposed to be a multi-movie franchise, and they cut it because it bombed. It bombed because it was so far from the original. Like the costumes, like their uniforms, their helmets are iconic for that generation of, that show.
Yeah.
And they changed so much of that. People were like, the Zords didn't look like anything like they were supposed to. We want to see a modern version of a 1993 show. We want to see that.
Yeah.
With the advancement of technology and CGI, we want to see something look good. They turned Goldar into a gold-plated monster. Like it wasn't even,
Mm-hmm.
it was just stupid. And so I think they do that with superhero films too.
Yeah.
And I'll say that Marvel, the cinematic universe, the reason that's become so successful is because they don't do that in those at all. They use the source material as reference and they keep to it. DC, that's DC's problem.
Yeah.
Is that when Superman Returns came out,
oh yeah,
we're going to go ahead and make Superman have a kid.
Yeah.
He's been gone. Yeah. Like people don't want that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, anyway, that's my soapbox. My contribution to the conversation. Go.
Well, I mean, with regard to Marvel, like, and that, I read a lot of Marvel comics, and I can say that some of their product is really good on delivering,
Mm-hmm.
From page to screen. But sometimes they do make some decisions that are kind of like, okay, why did you change Miss Marvel's power set? Like, you know, it was really interesting in the books, and yet you gave her something completely different in the films.
Yeah.
Things like that, small little details, but I still liked the movies.
Mm-hmm.
But Miss Marvel's costume, her uniform looks like it does in the film.
Yeah.
Okay, so they changed the power set for the storyline is what they did.
Right.
But they also had to change the storyline or power set because the storyline for her power origin is too large to be contained in just 2 or 3 films.
Well, and plus at that time, I think they were distancing themselves from anything that had to do with Inhumans, mostly because that was associated with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and what they were doing on television.
Right.
That wasn't successful. So instead of saying, okay, well, she's an Inhuman like she is in the comics, then, they had to change her power set.
But to say that she's an Inhuman, for a person to come onto the franchise, they'd have to know what the Inhumans are and the backstory. That's what I'm saying. So you didn't have the time to give them the full backstory. But like, think about the Avengers, like all those movies, the Avenger movies, the whole film series.
Yeah.
Infinite Wars, it is spot on to the storyline of the comic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it is. So they haven't taken liberties like that, and it's, if they do, it's because they just simply don't have the time to go, because there's so much history there on character development for stuff. But
or there was I think there was a moment where they were like, we're not going to incorporate magic in some of those earlier films, which is why Scarlet Witch started out the way she did.
Right.
But then they kind of, okay, we're going to include magic. And so then they retconned it.
Yeah.
Right. So you have decisions like, but they all worked. They all worked for that. Unlike Congo with Laura Benny. Anyway.
Get off the monkey.
It was so bad. The other one that
I can honestly say I've never seen it. And even if I did see it, I couldn't remember it. So I can honestly say I've never seen it. Oh,
you would remember because Tim Curry was the new villain. And like, he was so cheesy in that role. And it's like they wrote him to be slapstick. And I'm like, why are you? Ugh, it was not good. So my other one that I had pet peeves with, this is what's really funny about this one, is that I actually will watch it. And I don't mind it. I just think it could have been better than what it was. Does that make sense? Like, I don't not like it, but I also don't like it.
Yeah.
And that would be The Relic. So, and granted, whenever the film came out, you watched it with me. Stop shaking your head over there. You just don't remember.
I don't know.
We watched it together. So the whole premise was the 2 authors, Preston and Child, I can't remember their first names, Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child, there we go. They worked at the New York City Natural History Museum. And so they both thought it was really, really awkward and creepy sometimes, at night, they would be alone in the buildings. And so they wrote The Relic. And they introduced this character, Pendergast, who ended up becoming like their version of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
He's involved in all these paranormal investigations that they've written about over the course of God knows how many novels now. I can't even keep up with them. I, try, but I've fallen behind.
Yeah.
What I think is hilarious is that when they did the film adaptation, and maybe it was too early in the books for it to, really matter.
Yeah.
They left Pendergast out of the film. And so, like, if somebody is like all excited because, the first Pendergast book got developed into a film, let's go watch it. he's not in it. Sorry.
Yeah.
But they also changed the location from New York to Chicago.
Mm.
And I thought that was kind of a choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and especially with something that, I mean, the New York Natural History Museum is pretty iconic.
Yes, exactly. Also, a big part of that that played into it is the warren of underground tunnels and subway systems and stuff in New York.
Yeah.
That played a part of it. And set it up for the sequel, which I also thought was funny because the epilogue of the book sets it up for a sequel, which it does have.
Yeah.
And instead of delivering the epilogue, they make the main character discover it on her own, and they don't even set the film up for a sequel.
Mm.
So they just completely jumped off the boat with that one because it's like, okay, you had the perfect setup for a sequel and you didn't even take it.
Right.
And I think at the time they were working on writing the second book because if I recall, the second book didn't come out that long after the film did.
Uh-huh.
So, like, yeah, you're gonna miss the okay. But I mean, minor changes that didn't really hurt the film, but at the same time left enough of a funky taste in my mouth that it's not necessarily my favorite adaptation. I'll still watch it every now and again because Penelope Ann Miller was actually really good as Margot in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I, enjoyed it. Special effects were kind of cheesy. The creature itself is pretty craptastic, but it's still fun to watch. But yeah, those are my two bottom tier. Not my favorites.
Yeah. And that's the thing, there, as I was preparing for the show today, there are lots of different adaptations I could talk about and say, okay, yeah, it missed the mark. But what I realized is, and it's funny because I was talking to my cousin Emily on the phone just before I started working on my notes, and she made a point. She said that the movie in my mind is always better than the one that somebody else makes.
Yeah.
And that's true, and I think that's something that movies specifically, we have to kind of keep in mind. And it's really hard sometimes, especially, with these major changes, like y'all have already mentioned, when you do something significant to the story or with the characters or things like that, the people who, you're going to go see the movie, the publicity of the movie is usually going to be based on the fact that people have read the book.
Yeah.
So you have to realize as a filmmaker that you're setting yourself up for a lot of backlash. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting to me that they choose to do this, but then I'll never forget. This might have been the only time I've heard a comment quite like this, but when I was in grad school, I had a professor and we were studying the novel Beloved. And somebody mentioned the film adaptation, and she said, I just hated that film adaptation because they didn't do enough with it. They tried to just make it too much exactly like the novel. And I thought that was a really interesting viewpoint to have on that, that, sometimes
the changes are good.
And that an adaptation
is
is
not so much changes. I think more exploration of the original source material would be
like expanding.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's what they mean on that. But I don't think it means changing,
Okay.
You're not going to turn a character like you said in Congo. The villain's not going to become the heroine all of a sudden in this Beloved, adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just want more than just the book can contain.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think there is a certain legitimacy to that because, if you're going to, because, okay, let's talk about, the nature of adaptation itself for a second. Why do an adaptation in the first place?
Yeah.
Because people enjoy a novel. They think it's great. Okay. Then why do filmmakers set out to make an adaptation in the first place?
Money.
I mean, yeah.
But
if we look at it from an artistic standpoint, though,
it's like, or, I know that it happens a lot. Somebody reads a book in Hollywood and they're like, this would make a great film.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's an actor. Like, I know that's happened several times. I know that, I think the 1990s version of Little Women, like a lot of that was Winona Ryder. Like, I really want to make this film. Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
So, I do know that happens, and Go ahead.
Well, okay. So we had book club yesterday. So Brandon, Thomas and I joined a book club here in town. Shout out to everybody from the book club last month. And Brandon joined us this month. And so one of the books that we read this past month was Sky Falling by
Mia McKenzie.
Okay. And when we first met up with the guy who started the book club, we went to brunch with him one day. And Thomas had made mention that he had already read Sky Falling, and that in his mind, whenever he heard the original character's voice from the book, it was Wanda Sykes.
Mm-hmm.
And so at book club yesterday, Brad mentioned that, and then said, I wonder, or I don't know if you said it or he said it, but I wonder why no one has ever propositioned Wanda Sykes to actually make this
into a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so like we all agree this book was great, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I would go see that movie.
Yeah.
But I would not want it to deviate from the book.
Yeah.
Because the book is what we fell in love with to begin with.
Yeah.
Well,
I would want the movie to expand.
Yeah.
To maybe add color to the world that the characters lived in, to give a little bit more emotion, because you can see facial expressions that you can't see on a page, in the film. But I wouldn't want I would not want them to resolve
the ending
plot lines that
Right.
have not been resolved in the book. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like I
right.
don't want them to make everything with this, like we were saying yesterday, how the book had a lot of plot lines left unopened or unfinished.
Yeah. And you wouldn't want a movie that ties it up in a neat little bow.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like the movie would want to do that, because people, when they go to the movies, they want that conclusion. They want that. Do you know what I mean? They want
That's
that
what your
resolution.
fear would be, is that it would deviate to the point where you're like, I don't like this anymore.
Right. Right. And I wouldn't want to see, and it's like, I don't know who said it yesterday, but the main character of Sky, her life, her character, she is unresolved.
Yeah.
She's improving and growing as a person, but she is not, by the end of this book, completely, fixed.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want that in the movie. But I feel like if they made that movie, they would have to tie it up, because people would then be left disgusted, because they wouldn't understand that that's the whole point of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I wouldn't think that it would be disgusted. They would just be frustrated, because they're like, okay, so why is that the ending?
Yeah.
Well, then you know what? I say the same thing we said yesterday.
Life is messy.
No. Write us the conclusion. Give us the next edition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Continue it on.
But I think, but that goes back to the initial question that I posed, why make adaptations in the first place? And, Michael kind of hinted at this already, but I think for that book in particular, one of the things that would be beneficial in an adaptation is visually giving us the world of Philadelphia.
Right.
I've never been to Philadelphia, so I don't know it well enough to recognize these landmarks that she's referencing in the book.
And there's a lot, though, like when they were talking about how the summer nights, them sitting on the steps.
Yeah.
Like instead of, she said, I have so much porch furniture, bougie porch furniture that goes unused because we sit on the steps.
Yeah.
The author did a great job of kind of capturing that, because I could feel that. Like I could feel, I guess maybe because it was like those warm summer nights growing up in the South, we had those, like I remember bugs flying around and just that mugginess and, like I could feel that, but
they might not have had the mugginess, but
well,
there's so much to consider whenever you look at adaptation. Like I will always appreciate the fact that my college professor, when I first took a class that dealt with adaptation, showed us the film Adaptation. Which ultimately, I will say, not my favorite film.
Yeah.
But
what film was it?
Adaptation.
Oh.
The Meryl Streep and Nicolas Cage. So Adaptation, is the story of the screenwriter, and I can't remember what his name is right now, but he wrote himself into the script.
Yeah.
And he wrote about his experience trying to adapt this book that was literally a picture book of flowers.
Yeah.
Seeing that film and his struggle trying to adapt this film that he eventually adapted into what you see.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really great way for us to kind of get introduced to that concept, because, you got to see somebody struggling with how do I do this?
Yeah.
How do I, what, especially in that instance, right? You're taking a nature book, turning it into a film. Like, asks you to do that. But
Mhm.
anyway, but you know what I mean? Like it introduces the concept of, okay, well, what are we taking away? What are we keeping? How are we going to take this and condense it down?
But on that note, though, and this is kind of not movie wise, but you do that, Brandon, because when you have to do like a UIL play,
Oh yeah.
you have to condense the source material into the most meaningful parts and then make a production out of that because you're tied to a time limit. So I think that's the kind of the same thing that he was doing, but it comes down, I think, to the artistry of it.
Yeah.
Like you have to be an artist. And so like these people who are out there to make money,
Mhm.
I don't think those that have these major changes are not true artists. I think that they're there to make the money.
Right.
Their motivation's different. Like Where the Crawdad Sings.
Yeah.
That movie.
Yeah.
Right. Was that a good adaptation of the book?
I never read the book.
Oh, I didn't either. Oops.
I heard a lot of people, it was hit or miss. Some people complained about it. Some people said it was good.
Okay.
Like, I never read it.
Is Big Fish a book?
Yes.
Was that a good adaptation?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Okay. So like, but movies like that try to really play to the artistry of it.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the difference between the moneymakers
Mm-hmm.
and the ones who are truly trying to be true to the source material.
Right.
To those that are trying to expand, to make it better, to really bring the audience into the world that is the book.
Yeah.
And I think Wicked, that's what I was saying earlier, is that Wicked cinematically, yeah, does a really good job of that. It brings you into the world of Oz. Like it brings you visually into it. You can feel it. You can, there's
all the visuals in that film. It creates Oz as its own world. Like I even appreciated that moment in The Wizard and I, where she's running through the field, and comes to the edge, and you see the Great Desert, and I'm like, oh, which could be a throwback to the 80s Return to Oz, where they explored that region, but it's also a throwback to Frank Baum's world. I mean, that desert was part of Oz.
Right. But I have just seen the stage production and I've just seen The Wizard of Oz, the movie.
Yeah.
The original.
Yeah.
You think of Oz as this colorful little everything green, poppies, yellow brick road. Like you don't think of them having deserts.
Yeah.
And waterfalls and oceans and lakes and stuff like that, And so I think that like even the opening scene with when they go out of the castle and they have the mountains, and the horse is running up with an unidentified character on the horse, even though we know who it is.
Yeah.
It's very dark. It's grim. It's not colorful. And that's, I guess, that's part of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think, that's the thing, adaptations are an art form of their own. You mentioned earlier about how I kind of have to do this with my UIL plays. I'll tell you right now, that is the most stressful part for me, is cutting the play and finding out, or determining what to keep and what to exclude. And what I have learned through help from other UIL directors is what you have to do is you have to determine whose story you want to tell. And sometimes it's not the main character.
Right.
Sometimes it's not focusing the way, or it's not focusing on the same things and the same people of what you would get if you saw the show in its entirety.
Right.
And that's a big choice to have to make as an artist, to determine, okay, I'm going to tell this character story.
Right. Well, and especially the fact that you're going up against a competition.
Yeah.
Like you're being judged on not only how well they perform and how well they adapt, set pieces to, but they also will critique you as a director.
Yeah.
On how well you made the cut.
Yeah.
Like how well did you turn that into it? Because I know in previous UIL, when I've gone with previous directors, it wasn't the kids that had, there was some critiques on the kids and stuff like that, but some of it was on how it was cut and the actual like piece itself.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, but that's what happens with film, right? Film adaptation. So here's my question to you. So I gave you my two bottom tier. What are your two bottom tier?
I have to say the number one. What I really have is the worst, and then an oddball that's not really bad, not really good. It's just another one. But the one that I have to say across the board, and this is a text that has been adapted several times. It's been adapted at least 3 times for film.
The 10 Commandments.
And no.
Not true to the original source material.
It's been adapted at least 3 times into film, and now once as a Broadway musical. And in every instance, it falls short. And I know Thomas is going to say that, well, the source material itself isn't any good either. But I disagree to an extent, and that is The Great Gatsby.
My least favorite.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Jesus Christ Superstar.
What? No.
Thomas over here when you said Thomas is going to say something about the source material not being very good.
Well, I will say that I don't understand.
He's not a fan of
his classic literature, but I do appreciate the story.
Yeah,
and like I really like the Baz Luhrmann. I thought was a good adaptation of it visually, even though I'm not a DiCaprio fan.
Yeah.
What?
So which one are you focusing on, like, for your...
All 3 of them, really.
All 3 of them, okay.
Well, 4 now, including the Broadway show. The Broadway show, I think, came closest to doing it well. I think what has fallen so short with each of them is the fact that they try to stick to the source material. And the source material itself, well, specifically in the source material, the problem is Fitzgerald doesn't write good dialogue. He does not. I think it's a great story. I think it's got excellent symbolism in it, and it's at its core, it's a great theme, but he is not a good dialogue writer. And too often these films have all tried to incorporate very closely the dialogue, and it just makes me cringe every time I hear it actually spoken out loud by an actor, because it doesn't sound good. So stop trying to do it. And the Broadway show did not, it incorporated some of the iconic lines, and I was just sitting in the audience going, "Ugh." But I think what helped with that was the fact that there were specific scenes that they turned into musical numbers,
right,
that you never had really any emphasis paid to previously.
Okay.
And so, that, like, one of the examples is the scene where Tom and Myrtle take Nick to the city, and it's very awkward
because they're in the bedroom having sex the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay.
and so what they did, they turned that into a musical number called "I Wish They'd Left Me at the Met," and so
that might be fun to see.
It is. It's a great number. It's hilarious and fun, and
because all I could think of every time I've read that scene is, God, how uncomfortable would that be?
Yeah.
Sit there and know what was happening.
Yeah.
In that apartment between the other two, and you're just like, gee, thanks for making me your wingman. Like,
yeah, exactly. So, but still, and that's, anyway, my point with that one is, I think sometimes filmmakers, theater makers, all just need to accept that even though a novel may be popular, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be adaptable in the first place. Just let it be what it is. And that's that, because it's not going to work. And so that's just how I felt with every incarnation of Gatsby other than the novel. The other one that I wanted to mention, and I think the filmmakers were brilliant to do what they did with it in marketing and billing it the way they did. So the John Irving novel, A Prayer for Owen Meany, was adapted into a film called Simon Birch.
And I loved Simon Birch and I hated Owen Meany.
Oh, really?
I know I'm the opposite of you.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
you loved Owen Meany and hated Simon Birch.
Well, I did. No, that's just it. I don't hate Simon Birch because I think they did it appropriately because they build it as inspired by the novel. They didn't say based on the novel by John Irving, but inspired by. And I appreciated that. I appreciated that distinction because they essentially, with just that one word, changed the whole approach of how I viewed the film. I didn't view it as a faithful adaptation or looking for it to be a faithful adaptation, even especially by changing the main character's name. I think that they did the right thing with it in saying, hey, we love this book, but we know that it doesn't fit well into your standard 2 to 2.5 hour movie. So we are taking that and creating something new that was loosely related to the story.
So, did you read the book first and watch the film?
Yes.
Okay, so I was the opposite. I watched the film and then I was like, oh, they said it was based on a book. And I thought, adaptation. So I go in and I'm reading Owen Meany and I'm like, well, first of all, I can't get into this. Secondly, where the hell is Simon Birch? I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I think I'm just going to say thanks, but no thanks. Because I loved Simon Birch.
Yeah.
And I went into that book looking for that. And I just didn't find it was there, but it wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
did you finish the book?
No, I did not. I abandoned it because I did not, don't hate me, I did not like the writing style.
I despise the writing style. So I discovered it. We had to read it in high school.
Okay.
And it was funny because we read it and then we had to read it as our summer reading for AP. And then that fall, after school started back, the movie came out. And so it came out perfectly. And so I remember Mr. Thomas saying, hey, so they've made this into a movie. Don't know if it's going to be any good or not, but just heads up. And so a bunch of us went to see it and critique it and everything. I loved the book so much, and it really changed my life in a number of ways. And I thought, oh my God, I want to read everything that John Irving has ever written. I couldn't get past the second book that I chose just because all of his writing is, and he talks in interviews how his goal is to emulate Dickens. And that is exactly why I cannot stand. I had to read that for school. And so I did. And I'm glad that I did. But oh God, I hate his writing style.
No, I couldn't do it.
I'll tell you though, there is a way to read that book.
Audio?
And get, well, yes, obviously. But there is a way to read that book and get around it. Skip all the parts where he comes back to the present day and he's talking about Iran-Contra and Reagan and all that sort of stuff. Just read the flashbacks and it's a much more pleasant read. That's a way to read the book and get what you get from Simon Birch without all the other stuff and it's a very different. It's similar. The ending of the novel is similar. He's still saving children, but he's older and it's set during Vietnam. And that's really compelling.
Yeah.
So
I've heard that, but I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I was thinking about Simon Birch this morning, getting ready to come here.
Oh, yeah.
So it's funny that you brought it up.
Yeah.
I thought about that one as being one of, I liked it as a film. I tried the book and I didn't like it. It was one of those things that I thought was better as a film than it was as a book. But that was because I never got all the way through the books. I couldn't really be a true judge of that.
I like how y'all didn't ask me what I didn't like of certain adaptations.
We've just been waiting for you to chime in.
No, that's okay.
What do you not like? Well, actually, I was going to ask you that too. Though.
No, you weren't.
Yes, I was.
I'm not dealing with you. No, never mind. I'll go to the grave, never telling you.
Tell us your adaptations.
Okay. And this one goes back to, I'll just have one. Okay. This one goes back to, like I was saying, like they need to kind of tie everything up by the end of the film with a nice little bow on it, to make you feel really good about everything.
Yeah.
Jaws. I did not like the fact that it did not kill Hooper at the end.
Okay.
Because, when he goes down in the cage, he gets eaten. He doesn't resurface in the book. And in the film, he does.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? And they both swim off together.
Yeah, because see, I haven't read the book.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, Hooper does not survive.
Okay,
Brody's the only one who does survive.
Okay,
the attack at the end. Hooper goes into his cage like he does in the film.
Yeah.
But the shark gets him, like he does not come back up.
Mm.
You know, and I think that goes back to like we were saying earlier, that they couldn't kill off. You knew Quint was going to die. Like you knew that.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, you knew that he was going to be the sacrificial lamb to everything.
Yeah.
But they made Hooper such a fun character, like to just, you really like him a lot. You know? He's like the young go-getter, that I think killing him in the film would have left a lot of distaste.
Yeah.
In a lot of people's mouths.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure when they made number one that they were going to, I'm not sure that Spielberg knew he was going to make a franchise out of it. Yeah. I didn't think that he maybe thought that. And I think that that happened as a success story, like because of the movie being so successful that they did. Yeah. But
well, I've also heard though that a lot of the tone of the book shifts between film and book. Like I've never read it, so I can't be quoted, 100% as knowing this, but someone once told me that there's an allegory there with the shark, that the shark is supposed to be like God's judgment, and the people that die in the book are people that have done bad things. Isn't like there's some kind of like affair between Hooper and Brody's wife in the book?
Okay. So and I think they like even kind of hint a little bit at that in the movie.
Well, I think they avoided that in the film. I don't think they wanted to kind of,
because that's a storyline again. Then you wouldn't like them.
Yeah,
you wouldn't like Ellen Brody either.
Yeah,
and so I think that from what I read is that the shark was supposed to be like God's judgment, and the only reason Brody lives is because he's a decent person.
Yeah,
But I mean, I don't know.
If that's the case, I know a couple of people that need to be tossed into the water. Scandalous. All right, Thomas, go. Let's pick one.
That's too hard for me.
We're gonna be here for like another hour and a half.
No, we won't. I'll be brief.
Okay.
Hold on, let me get my skip intro button real fast. Hold on.
All right, so adaptations that I really liked.
Yeah.
The first one I'm going to talk about is because it's fresh in my mind right now because I'm reading it with my kids. The Joy Luck Club. There were some choices the director made that I didn't agree with.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was a satisfactory adaptation. The things that I was disappointed not making it into the film, I understand why it didn't.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I liked it. I thought that it hit all the sentimental notes from the books and all the little stories that you got. I think they chose the best pieces to keep into the film. And I like one thing that I've noticed in the rereads I've done recently of it is even like the little segments that are kind of like folklorish, at the beginning of each segment. All of those, even though you only hear one verbalized, like told in the story, in the film, the other ones are still there.
Yeah.
They're incorporated into the visuals or the storylines. And I appreciate that. Like, I'm like, okay, that's a really cool note in technique into the adaptation.
Right.
They kept all those little things.
They didn't lose it just because of time or something like that. Right.
And even though you don't necessarily see it right off the bat, you pay enough attention and you study it enough, you can see it.
Yeah.
My other two that kind of are neck and neck with each other as being like my absolute favorite, Kevin Sullivan, Anne of Green Gables from the 80s.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Because it does. The only thing that he did as far as an alteration was to kind of enhance the romance between Gilbert and Anne.
Yeah.
That really wasn't a focus of the book.
Yeah.
But because it happens gradually over the course of the book series, I don't think you can really fault him for kind of playing up on it a little bit in the film. But other than that, he kept all of it. Like, it's downright my favorite adaptation of Anne of Green Gables because he got all of the best parts of it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Megan follows. I mean, as Anne, there could be no other. The other one, Greta Gerwig's Little Women.
Okay.
I used to love the Winona Ryder one from the 90s until I got Saoirse Ronan as Jo.
Yeah.
Like, I can't see anybody else as Jo now because she did so well in that.
Yeah.
That is the only time I've ever seen an adaptation of Little Women that I actually did not despise Amy through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, Florence Pugh and the level of performance that she gave Amy gave me a new appreciation for her. And I did not, like, it made me think of Amy in a different way. And I know that was something that Greta Gerwig said she intentionally wanted to do with it. And then I also liked the little nod to real life,
Mhm.
to May Alcott, with the last portion of the film, that last little moment where she's told to end it with a happy ending.
Yeah.
Joe had to get married. And so I was like, okay, that perfect. Like, that was the best, the top two that I will always love, and I will watch them all the time.
Yeah.
What about you?
So one that I really enjoy, and this is taking it back to Broadway. So we've got, this is an adaptation from film to Broadway and back to film, and that is Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh.
And so I really enjoy what the Broadway show did in terms of taking this campy B movie that most people didn't even know about or know anything of, and turning it into a really successful Broadway show. And then the film that came as a result, or the film adaptation of the Broadway show, is, pretty true to the show. And it even takes an approach of filming on a soundstage that looks like it's on a stage, if that makes sense. And they did the right thing in getting rid of the worst song in the show, which is It's the Gas that the dentist sings. But what's interesting about it is the ending. In the Broadway show, the plants win.
Mm-hmm.
And they take over the world. Originally, it was filmed to end that way as well.
Yeah, and it didn't test well, right?
Yeah.
Well, and Audrey dies.
Yeah. Everybody.
And Seymour dies.
Yeah. Yeah. So that it is, so in test audiences, they loved it up until the end, and they thought that was horrible. They hated it. And so they changed it under the pressure of the test audiences. And so that's the only criticism that I have, is that they changed the ending. But otherwise, I enjoy that adaptation or series of adaptations, really. And I think that they do a good job overall in terms of what it does in resurrecting something that was pretty obscure to begin with, and then it taking on a life of its own that continues today, because Little Shop of Horrors is currently running on, off Broadway, but with major stars. Jeremy Jordan was in it for a long time. Now Milo Manheim, who is a Disney Channel star, I think, or something, is in it now, and so drawing crowds and whatnot. So it's still popular, and I think that's awesome. So, and my second one also is an example that was adapted twice. Started as a novel, became a film, and then now has been turned again into a Broadway show.
Okay.
The Outsiders.
I've heard really good things about The Outsiders on Broadway.
It is incredible. And it was, so here's how that all happened. So, of course I had to read the book when I was in like 7th grade or so.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah. And then we saw the movie as a result. The movie was ho-hum.
I liked the film.
I thought it was okay. I wasn't wowed by it. I was like,
think of the time it was made in, though.
Well, exactly. But now, last year, we were going to our yearly trip to New York, and we were trying to figure out what shows were available while we were there. And so it just so happened that one of the days that we were going to be there wasn't much availability of anything, but The Outsiders was available. And initially, I was like, let's not. I mean, it's The Outsiders. Is that really going to make a good musical? And then literally the next day, myself, Kenzie, my assistant director, and one of our students all saw the same clip online from the show. The next day, we literally came together. It was like some sort of weird thing out of a movie. We were like, we have to go see The Outsiders. And I was like, wait, no, yeah, I thought you thought so. Okay. And it's absolutely incredible. The scene that got us was the fight scene, the rumble.
Okay.
At the end. It is incredibly choreographed, and it is just a beautiful piece of theater, and the way it's done. It's just incredible. But the whole thing overall is excellent. The music is fantastic. Just an incredible show, period.
It's what?
What? It's an incredible show.
Incredible. He said incredible like 7 times in the past 2 minutes.
Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you. It's an unbelievable show. It's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you. Like,
It was positively fabulous. So, how about that?
Absolutely fabulous.
Yeah. So that is probably one of my favorite adaptations overall, and especially to see it go from a book to an okay movie, and now to this incredible film. Excuse me. I said incredible
production.
again. This amazing stage production.
and that's relatively new too. How long has it been on stage?
We saw it like the second week that it was open.
Yeah.
So it's been less than a year now.
Yeah.
So, but the thing that really impressed me about it too was that Susie Hinton was key in not the making of it, but in terms of giving her blessing every step of the way. And she has been a huge advocate for the show and saying that, you know, this is an incredible show, and it's more than I could have imagined.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course she gave her blessing to it. It gave life back into a book that's been around for how many years, you know?
Anyway,
Just saying. I mean, that's true.
I don't think it's ever really fallen out of popularity just because it's taught in schools so much, though.
Well, that's kind of like, you know, whenever I go into my unit with Anne of Green Gables,
Yeah.
my kids
let
have-
me just preference this also is that what he did not tell you is that his favorite 2 books that he mentioned, on adaptation wise, are the ones that he subjects his students to every single year.
I don't subject them to Little Women, but I
No.
do subject them to Anne of Green Gables.
And the Joy Luck Club.
Well, this year, it's first year, yeah.
And you're going to do it again, aren't you?
Probably because they're responding well to it. Anyway,
And you do Anna Green Gables. Why?
because it makes me happy.
It's the last one we're doing. I'm reading what I want to read. But every time he does it, he always has positive responses from the kids.
The
too.
kids come back and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that was so like." The next year, like they're all seniors, and they're like, "You remember that story we read about the redhead girl?" And it's like, okay, yeah.
I remember the story about Wendy.
But what are your top 2?
Well, I don't have a top 2.
Well, then what's your top 1?
Don't have a top 1 either.
You don't have a favorite adaptation of something?
Not even anything from comics.
I mean, comic wise, like I said earlier, the Avengers, like that series, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all that was very well done. And no, because like even no, I really don't have one.
Okay.
And if I did, I wouldn't remember it anyway because you know.
This is true. So, final thoughts on adaptation. I have a theory
Okay.
that I think is tracks for, I would say, probably 90% of adaptations that probably, from the sound of it, we have seen. And I'm guessing it, granted we're a small sample size, but I'm guessing this is probably the case for the most of the part.
Hold on. I would not consider Thomas a small sample size because his knowledge of stuff like that and his, I don't want to say opinions of stuff like that, but his ability to connect things like that, he's a very resourceful
Oh, thank you.
individual on this topic. Because I guarantee you, if I wasn't here, this is why, like, I got to take him. I don't let him go to the store by himself because if not, he'll buy a lot of stuff that we don't need. If I wasn't here right now, y'all be here for the next 4 hours talking. Because those of you that don't know this is my life every single day when these two get together.
And don't complain. It could be quiet.
Sometimes I request it.
You know that'll never happen.
Yeah. So anyway, so I have a theory, and that is, and you even, Thomas, kind of alluded to this earlier, I think. Whatever you're exposed to first is your preference that you're going to like out of the adaptation. If you saw a movie first before reading the book, then you're probably going to be inclined to like that movie more so than the book when you finally read it. If you read the book first and then you see the movie, then you're going to always like that book better than the movie. And same thing for stage plays and so on and so forth. And of course, there are always exceptions, which we've illustrated today. But for the most part, that seems to be the norm. You know, whatever it is that you see first and you enjoy and you fall in love with that medium of the story, you're always going to like that the best. And that makes sense. So really, my ultimate takeaway from all of this is that everybody needs to do their best, especially if you're not a total fanboy of a particular story. evaluate each piece as a standalone in its own art form and try to really evaluate it just based on those parameters as opposed to comparing it to the story in a different medium, because essentially you're comparing apples to oranges then.
And unless you're really gonna sit down and, like I do with my kids, whenever I do show them a film after something we've read, I usually have them make a list of things like, okay, these characters weren't present. This wasn't present. Okay, so is it faithful? Is it loose? Right?
Mhm.
Unless you're willing to spend the time, which most people are not going to do, to sit down and really like look at like frame by frame, essentially the decisions made, you're not gonna, that on the spot is going to be based on what you got first. I think you're right about that.
Yeah. What are your final thoughts, Thomas?
My final thought, I guess, would be give adaptation a shot. Don't go into a film thinking that it's going to be crap. Keep it
just
open
because
mind.
it's an adaptation.
Yeah, just because it's an adaptation, like, oh, they're never going to get it right because the book was better.
Yeah.
Don't go into a film thinking that, because you might be surprised. I mean, there are some movies that are better than the books that they were based on.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah. Michael?
I don't have a final thought.
Okay.
I second what Tom. I told y'all that's why he's here.
All right. Y'all ready for trivia?
Yep. What we doing?
Okay. So the choices are geography, entertainment, history.
Literature. Go with literature. You know he's going to go there.
Just shut up. History, arts and literature, science and nature, or sports and leisure.
Can I pick it for you?
Keep in mind this book is about 15 years
Let's
old.
do entertainment.
So there's that.
No lie. Last week we had a question in there about who makes the iPod.
What company makes the iPod? Yeah.
Like that's how old this book is.
Seriously?
We're talking about like 20 years old.
Who wrote the famous Pink Panther theme music?
Yeah, no, I don't know that one.
I couldn't think of his name, but I thought that was who it was. Henry Mancini.
Can you sing or hum the Pink Panther theme song?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, I know what it is.
Right now, all I can hear is Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, I know. That's like,
Nope.
Dun-dun, dun-dun,
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah. And then Inspector Gadget is dun 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 dun
Inspector Gadget.
dun 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 dun. Yeah.
Woo-hoo. Anyway, okay. What movie director played the Cook County Assessor's Office clerk in The Blues Brothers?
Oh.
Hard page.
I haven't watched The Blues Brothers, but I do know that there are a lot of celebrities that were in that film. I don't know. George Lucas?
Louise.
Ooh, you were close with George Lucas. It was Steven Spielberg.
Okay.
Number 3, what band took on Will Champion as its drummer, even though he didn't play drums at the time?
Music entertainment, not my thing. What is it? Who is it?
Coldplay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
No clue. Number 4, what movie did Ewan McGregor get in character for by shaving his head and shedding 30 pounds?
Trainspotting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, we got one on the board. Number 5, who became an international superstar after playing Little Gertie in E.T. the Extraterrestrial?
Oh, that would be Drew Barrymore.
Yep.
2 on the board.
And number 6, what movie hears a punk rock girl quip, "Guy with 8 hands sounds hot"?
Say that again? Sorry.
What movie hears a punk rock girl quip, "Guy with 8 hands sounds hot"?
Jam.
What?
As in, and the holograms?
Yeah.
No.
Britney Spears.
A guy with 8 hands, if that's hot.
Britney Spears.
I don't know.
Spider-Man.
Oh.
I'm guessing that's the original Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, that's probably, which I didn't pay much attention to.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched him, but
Let's give him a different page. That was a hard page.
No, that's it.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
it's fine. I don't need to be
Here, you can ask Michael's questions.
Science.
arts and literature. No.
You got to pick your own. Science.
All right.
Don't worry, I'm not too good.
I was about to say, it's okay. His track record on science and nature isn't that great.
What did Henry F. Phillips introduce for carpenters?
Cargo pants.
The crosshead screw,
I was close.
as in Phillips screw.
Oh, okay.
What did George Green patent in 1875 that was voted the second most terrifying thing known to mankind after nuclear warfare in a 2003 poll?
We can't put that on here.
Yes, you can. That's a good answer.
No, we can't. Give it another guess. Hurry, quickly.
Donald Trump. Can we keep that one in there?
A dentist's electric drill.
Oh, no, I'm not afraid of the drill. Unless it's a Little Shop of Horrors. Man, Steve Martin comes after my teeth, I'm out of there.
What perfume ingredient comes from the intestine of the sperm whale?
Oh, I think I know this one.
From the intestine of a sperm whale? I have no idea. I don't wear perfume.
Ambergris.
Is it ambergris?
Ambergris, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, let's look at number 4. What does the medical acronym PET stand for?
As in like a PET scan, I'm guessing?
Yep.
I don't know.
Positron emission tomography.
Yep, I would have got that. I was that close.
What does it mean if you are surrounded by stellar dendrites?
If you're surrounded by what?
Stellar dendrites.
Dendrites?
I mean, I know what dendrites are, but I don't know what stellar ones are. I mean, is that celebrity? What's it mean?
It means it's snowing.
Snowing. Oh, okay.
Oh.
I wouldn't have thought about that. I mean, I've heard of dendrites like referred to like roots and stuff like that, like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What sign of the zodiac is represented by an archer?
Aries?
Is that Sagittarius?
Sagittarius. Very good.
Oh, well.
You want to ask Brandon his?
Let's do history.
Oh, I just saw a good one.
Oh, God.
Oh, okay, here we go. What river near Sutter's Mill did prospectors find gold in?
What river near Sutter's Mill?
Yes. Did prospectors find gold in?
Oh, gosh.
You want a hint?
Yeah.
It's a river, obviously.
No,
Okay, we're going to
really?
have a golf soon named after it.
The River of America?
America River.
Oh,
American
soon.
River.
That's already been done.
What was banned in Mississippi in 1907 that didn't become legal there again until 1966?
Interracial marriage?
Alcohol.
Oh.
I thought you would have known that.
Oh, that, yeah.
Prohibition.
I was focusing on
Mississippi. Gays.
Well, that wasn't, not in the 60s, no.
Who is the only president to be buried in D.C.? That one's easy.
Oh, JFK.
Yeah. Nope.
Oh, wait, no, that's in
Nope.
Arlington, which is
Yeah.
in Virginia.
Yeah.
No. Only president to be buried in D.C.
Yes.
I don't know then.
Wilson.
Wilson. Oh, I never would have guessed that.
What iconic children's author was born in Chittenango? New York?
What?
He's Thomas. Look. Chittenango,
Yeah. Chittenango.
New York. What iconic children's author was born in Chittenango, New York?
Chittenango?
Yep. Chittenango.
Dr. Seuss.
No, he was born actually in California.
Oh, okay.
He was born in San Diego.
Louisa May Alcott.
Nope. L. Frank Baum.
Oh.
That's it. That's good.
Whose essay, Civil Disobedience, did Gandhi carry with him during his prison stays?
That would be Henry David Thoreau.
That is correct. What language was Elizabeth I's coronation conducted in?
Latin.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
that's what you would expect.
I was going to say Latin. I actually mouthed it.
All right.
All right. Well, that does it for this week's episode of From Art to Atoms.
The Ultimate Curiosity Show.
Thank you so much, Thomas, for being here with us. We have truly enjoyed it, and we will have you back on the show soon.
Some of us enjoyed it.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to From Art to Atoms, The Ultimate Curiosity Show, episode number 23. Your hosts are Brandon Shoemaker and myself, Michael Folse. The show is produced by Brandon Shoemaker and is available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show to stay up to date on all of our latest episodes and news. If you have any questions, feedback, or suggested topics you'd like for us to dive into, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email us at FromArtToAtoms@gmail.com. We would love to hear from our listeners, and we value your input. Don't forget to follow us on social media to stay updated on upcoming episodes and behind-the-scenes content. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube at From Art to Atoms. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platforms. Your support helps us reach even more interested minds like yours. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, stay curious.